Hi there, folks. Welcome to DocTalk. I'm sure glad you joined us today. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson here from the College of Veterinary Medicine at Kansas State University. We're going to have a great show. Dr. Matt Miesner is going to be joining us today, and we're going to talk about dehorning cattle, something that's very common practice, something that all of us have done or continue to do. Stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Hi there, folks. Welcome to DocTalk. Dr. Miesner, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here again.
Folks, this is Dr. Matt Miesner, and he's a friend and colleague here at Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine's Veterinary Health Center, and he is an associate clinical, you got that promotion, associate clinical professor here in our Veterinary Health Center, and he's boarded in medicine for food animals, and we're talking about dehorning.
Right.
Very common.
Something that anybody on a cattle operation has seen or probably performed. From the time you're a young whippersnapper, you see things happen. And it's one of those absolutely necessary procedures in a lot of cases to have done for various reasons. I think that first one we always think about is safety. You know, my safety, veterinary safety, producer safety, but not just the people, and we also talk about the cattle as well. So
you bet.
Their pen mates, maybe even the dog or any other horses or anything else that might be around. So other animals, anything that can get traumatized by these horns need to be gone.
And they can use those then to gore another animal, and you know, a lot of people will say that we have horns to protect our animals from predators, but there's a lot of polled cattle out there that raise good calves too. Absolutely,
yeah. Think of it as a protective part of the body, but and yes, I have seen some cattle that had horns, didn't have horns, and kind of moved down on the pecking order in the herd. But as we all know, they're plenty defensive and protective with a lot of other appendages of their body too. So it's not necessarily absolutely needed to protect calves.
So safety and handling are one, but let's. What about economically?
Well, economically, we talk about the trauma that you would think you'd see, but bruising in carcasses, and just bumping up against each other on those kind of things could lead to trim and extra different things that would happen to the carcass that it's slaughtered.
I've actually seen some of the reports saying that shipping animals to slaughter with horns versus polled, that we can have anywhere from 0.2 to 2 pounds of trim.
Right.
So could be significant from bruising. What about sometimes, I see some of the horns will grow around and grow into the skull. Can those be an issue for the animal?
Yes, they continue to grow. They don't stop just because they hit skin and hide. And they just continue to dig into skin and whatnot, and we have to remove them. And sometimes they just grow abnormally. So that's a possibility. And then even just the facilities to handle them. So we have to remove those so they don't knock them off, going through chutes, alleyways, those kind of systems.
Right.
So safety for the animals.
So, and then of course the last one was the surgical, or what some people term the cosmetic dehorning.
Yeah, sometimes we talk about cosmesis, but I do it more oftentimes to close skin to prevent flies infection from setting in. So we remove the horn and then close it back across. And so yes, it seems cosmetic, but has a function too.
Cool. Well, I think those are some great, kind of leads us off, gets us started on why we do it. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit more about what different types of techniques there are for horn removal on cattle and how we do it without causing a lot of pain. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back after the break.
To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agamInKansas.com.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
We do business with Blueville because of the quality of their work. It is excellent quality, and because they make a commitment to their customers.
We enjoy the benefits of hiring a good company to help us maintain this home.
We will always do business with Blueville. We have for many, many years, and there's no reason for us to look for any other service.
This segment brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook. Visit us online at sftmeats.com.
Hi there, folks. Welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here from the College of Veterinary Medicine at Kansas State University, and we're tickled that you joined us today. I'm joined by Dr. Matt Miesner, who's a veterinarian and boarded in internal medicine. He's an associate clinical professor working here in our veterinary health center, and we're talking about dehorning cattle. And when we left for break, we were talking about different reasons, and I think a lot of people know why we dehorn these animals. But now let's get into kind of the meat of the situation here and talk about the different techniques that we're going to use.
Right. I think first and foremost we want to make it as quick and efficient as possible, and probably the most efficient and quick and easiest way to do it would be to take the horns off before they become mature, and that'd be a disbudding type procedure.
So that's while they're still, when they're young, and you grab the horns and they're still moving with the skin, they haven't secured down to the skull.
Sure, yeah, it's almost a little smooth, leathery button on a lot of calves, and we can take those off just by damaging what makes the horn before the bone grows, and we can do it with things like dehorning irons, which get hot, and burn around that bud. There's some pastes, they're kind of caustic that you put on that destroy that area of horn, and little gouges and various methods to remove that bud quick, easy, off before it has a chance to mature. Oftentimes bleeding is minimal, if any, and quick.
How, when you're looking at that keratinized tissue, how far out around from that horn do you need to get? Oh,
a small bud, we're getting out. It's nice to be a quarter inch outside that bud, kind of hard to see it. There's kind of sort of a little raised bump, but you want to be outside of that area.
Then let's move into some of the different things that you're going to do. Once that horn's attached to the skull, and now we have horn development, we're moving into different types of techniques.
Yeah, same thing goes. We still have to get outside what's making the horn, and what it actually is a piece of bone covered by horn, and so it's following that bone up, and we have to get that tissue that makes the horn. And there's several ways we can do that. We've got probably the most common one would be a gouge or a Barnes type dehorner, which the horn fits within it. We open the handle and we crush and take the horn, skin, and bud off that way. We have various types of dehorners that will chop, trim, guillotine types.
Yeah,
dehorners.
keystone.
The keystone type, really large horns. We've got those.
And now we probably need to back up a little bit, because this is dehorning. This is taking the horn clear off and getting the keratinized tissue, getting a margin around that horn, and taking the whole thing.
Right. Bone, horn, everything around the outside comes off with it. So yeah, that's a dehorning method. And the other one, which we showed about, we had wires. We can use OB wire or wire saws to cut those off. And those are nice to get really hot and actually cauterize as we go through. Any of these dehorning methods will have some bleeding, and we can use these burners or different ways to could it to cauterize those vessels. But those are big dehorning, taking the entire thing off to the base. Then we have the tipping methods, where basically you're taking the end of the horn, where we're going to leave part of it, we're not going to take it to the base. Safer, less bleeding.
Well, when we look at many of these different methods, different ages, different animals, some complications can occur. So when we come back from the break, let's talk a little bit about some of those complications, and we'll return right after the break.
I'm Rexanne Struve, veterinarian in Western Iowa. I have a veterinary clinic and started doing stem cell therapy on dogs in August of 2014. And after the first 2 dogs, after 3 weeks, I saw such dramatic results. I said, hey, I have arthritis. I have joints, really need this help. Where can I go to get this done? I had stem cell therapy done in November of 2014 on my finger joints, my hip, and the ball of my left foot, all of which I'd had real severe problems with. Saw a pretty dramatic improvement in a short amount of time. I would certainly recommend that somebody don't wait until I'm in the position that I was in with the damage already done to my joints. I encourage veterinarians to use it for their animals, and I encourage anybody who sees this video, if you have need, get in contact with these people, because this is a phenomenal place to have this done.
This Prevention Works Minute, brought to you by Beringer Ingelheim Vet Medica, Inc.
Hey folks, welcome to our Prevention Works Minute. This is an outstanding segment, and I'm really glad that we're getting to do this when we talk about preventative medicine for cattle. Biosecurity is important, and a good key component to that is vaccination. When we vaccinate an animal, one thing you need to understand is that they do not work immediately. Matter of fact, it takes 7 to 14 days before the animal, once it's vaccinated, to actually start having an immune response that produces antibodies that are specific for a disease in which we would vaccinate them for. So if I vaccinate a calf for IBR, it's 7 to 14 days before that animal is protected or has antibody to neutralize IBR virus. Once we get out there to 14 to 21 days, the body has memory cells for IBR. That's why we give them a booster, and we get that booster in our titer response. Vaccines don't work immediately, but they're really good for prevention.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
Welcome to the Jerry Thomas Gallery and Collection, where we feature my renowned artwork, frontier military, and Native American artifacts. In the painting behind me is Scouting the Trail. 2 scouts overlook the Smoky Hill River Valley just north of the famous Monument Rocks, which are internationally renowned, as a column of 7th Cavalry parade north of the river. On this point, 2 scouts rode in a circle, and there were 18 cartridges found up there, and that meant that they usually were warning of impending danger and firing off their weapons. One of those weapons I feature in the gallery, a Spencer weapon, which we featured in the painting. Very unique, and very honored to showcase this to you.
Tarwater Farm and Home has been family owned and operated since its beginning in 1978. What you need for farm and agriculture, lawn and garden, clothing and footwear, and so much more. You'll be surprised at what you'll find in this huge store. They have what you need and lots of it. So come take a look. You'll discover that customer service is first and foremost. Always has been with the Tarwaters. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard. This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Hi there folks, welcome back to DocTalk. I'm here with Dr. Matt Miesner. He's a veterinarian, and he's also a boarded internal medicine specialist, and we are talking about dehorning cattle. And when we dehorn, when we left, we were talking about tipping. And I think we'd backtrack just a little bit to kind of clarify the difference between dehorning and tipping.
Yeah, tippings, oftentimes you'll see that with a lot of rodeo bulls, rough stock. Those is probably the most common place people had seen that, where you don't take the entire horn, you just take the tip or portion back to, silver dollar size blunted area. So you're blunting the horns.
And so this is the insensitive part. It's kind of like clipping your fingernails, the way I'd describe it. You're just trying to round that horn off so it's not pointed. They can't use it as a weapon, but
And there's a little
still
sensation
can,
there.
but-
There's little sensation, but very minimal. But there's still some blood vessels, so you don't want to go too far. That would lead to some of the complications that we can talk about as well. So, disbudding, dehorning, tipping, and then it's not always a benign procedure. It's a necessary, but we have to take some precautions.
And I have seen some things in feedlot facilities where, most people do a great job of tipping, but the one thing that just kind of gets to me is when we tip that horn, when we decide that tipping is going about halfway between the base of the horn and the tip, and we're cutting through skull, bone, very vascular area.
Yeah.
Might as well have just taken the whole thing off.
Absolutely.
If you're going to do that.
Yeah,
So-
and not just bone, blood, and whatnot, but now you're actually within the sinus cavity. A case of that horn will be hollow out that far.
Absolutely. So, it kind of leads us to a spot, and I think that it's one of those that's a sensitive area. It's one of those that we deal with on a day-to-day basis when we're talking about dehorning, and that's pain control and making sure that these are painless procedures. And what are some of I know that we can't make all procedures painless, okay? And sometimes our unintended consequences of making something painless can create more pain by running the animals through the chute more times, increase the anxiety and stress. But when we're going to do some of these big dehorns,
Right.
what are some of the things you recommend?
Big dehorn, it's becoming standard of care in some of those situations. You're right. You're going to house them and group them, they can get traumatized. But we're going to numb it, the horn, so that we can do a good, safe job. Handling is quick, anytime we can. Small numbers, large horns. I'm going to take the time, it doesn't take hardly at all, to numb the nerves that supply that horn. And they resist less, so you have less trauma in the chute. It's less painful. So it's one of those things that, all in all, less stress, less pain, less of a big to-do to get it done. And I think that standards of care are going to require us to do that.
Yep, work with a local veterinarian and get your, either get the product or have the veterinarian come out and do those big dehorns.
Yep.
Well, I think it's important, and I think when we come back, we're going to have one more segment, but let's come back and talk about some of the problems that can go on, how we solve those, and then how we can move forward to prevent them. Thanks for being here. Thank you for watching us. We'll be back with more Doc Talk right after the break.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help?
How can we help?
Did you know long-range planning through the checkoff can help keep your business profitable? To successfully pass on cattle operations from one generation to the next, it's important to promote beef and keep farms and ranches profitable. Your beef checkoff helps do that.
We are Mike and
Martha
Armitage here at the A-Bar Ranch, Claremore, Oklahoma. We have a cow-calf production company, and we also have a marketing company. We have entertained groups brought to us by the Beef Checkoff, such as South Korean media that covered our operation and brought the good news back to South Korea.
That was a really neat experience, and that we got to have young people from another country that we got to experience a lot of different things in their culture, but got to share our culture too.
We live on the Squaw Creek Ranch. Here is a division of the A-Bar Ranch.
As a wife and a mother, and also with my background in more of a health field, I look at just the nutritional value, and it's great that the Beef Checkoff offers that kind of information to the consumers that are out there.
We both are proud to come from agricultural, more specifically ranching backgrounds.
My dad is a part of the Beef Checkoff board, and so the Beef Checkoff has been something that we promote and that we support what it has to offer.
Not everybody who's in agriculture is tech savvy on Facebook and through social media. Most people in the city happen to be, and they are very disconnected from our day-to-day routines. And that's one thing that makes me proud of the Beef Checkoff, them going to bat for us. from those who aren't necessarily anti-ag, but just simply don't know and they aren't getting the information.
As producers, we're strong supporters of that and hope that many of you out there realize all of the different things that the beef checkoff brings to the table for us as producers.
Fort Wallace was the fightingest fort in the West. Fossils, Indians, soldiers, scouts, wagons, trails, pioneers, stories. Discover the story of Fort Wallace and the people who served here, the people who fought here, the people who settled here. Wallace County, where the past is present.
Healthy cows start with the new hired hand automatic livestock sprayer. Rancher invented to provide an efficient alternative to pour-on and injectable parasite management systems. The portable design allows cattle to treat themselves head to hoof. Strategic device placement with pass-through activation technology takes the stress out of parasite treatment for cattle and the rancher, leaving more time to tend to other vital tasks on the farm. To learn more, visit cowsprayer.com. The new hired hand makes healthy cows easy.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook or Twitter.
Hi there, folks. Welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. Matt Miesner. We are both from Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine, and Matt is associate clinical professor, works in our referral clinic, and also does some haul-in ambulatory work here at Kansas State University's Veterinary Health Center on mini cattle, and we're talking about dehorning. We've gone through the whys, the hows, the pain-free, and now let's get to some of the problems that can occur.
Well, first and foremost, we always think of hemorrhage or severe bleeding, and there's no doubt about it. You don't wear your nice clothes a lot of times when you're doing these kind of procedures, and so there's a lot of bleeding, and we're going to take every precaution we can to control it, whether that's actually find the vessels and twist those down, or use some powders to help a clot form, or heat. Hot irons can cauterize it.
Yep.
So bleeding would be far and above the immediate thing that we're going to do. So we could prevent that by doing them early on, very little bleeding, or we just take some precautions to take care of it at the time.
And I think that's the key. If you're going to dehorn, do it as early as possible.
Right. Yeah, quick.
I think people would be amazed to know that 50% of the dairy cows are born with horns.
Right.
But
right.
You never see a horn in the parlor.
No.
And they take care of them as babies.
So, we do that on a routine basis at the dairies, so take care of them.
All right, back to the issues, but one of them that we see too is flies, right?
Right. So after we take care of the horn, we're going to have an open wound that's going to have to take time to heal. And flies laying eggs lead to maggots, and so fly control, repellents, those kind of things to prevent infection that way. The wound itself can get infected, but I think flies are a big hindrance, and so that's the situation where we might go back to a surgical dehorn, where we can remove the horn and then take the skin and suture it back across the wound. A lot less likely to get infected, or flies.
And I think that flies carry a lot of different bacteria that people don't realize, E. coli, salmonella, and probably some of our pathogens that'll set up some of these infections of the wounds.
Sure. Yeah.
About the sinusitis, and I think this is the one that kind of, when you're opening up that sinus with a dehorn, we can have some issues here.
Sure, and it's an ascending, so now we're getting even deeper than just a superficial wound. It seals over. That hollow horn or those vessels travel right into the front part of that forehead of that bovine, and can set up an infection. Sinusitis sets in, headache, and then we have just a pus-filled sinus, and really difficult to treat. You can see some discharge from the nose occasionally, but you'll see them occasionally head pressing in a wall or a fence, just like you would with a sinus headache. And hard to treat. We try to get that drained, but we try to prevent that by getting good drainage, antibiotics, and wound care early on.
Yeah, clean equipment and work with your veterinarian.
Right.
Thanks for being here today.
Glad to be here. Fun time.
Did a great job. Folks, remember, always work with your local veterinarian. And if you want to know more about what we do on DocTalk, you can find us at doctalktv.com. Thanks to Dr. Miesner for joining us here today. Lots of things to know about dehorning. Work with your local veterinarian. Thanks for watching Doc Talk today. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson, and I'll see you down the road.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.